Birth, no matter what, is considered trauma because the birthing process is almost felt like a giant violent fragmentation process. And because of that, you could say that there's a lot of heartbreak or grief correlated to being in the womb. Most of us were born, got over it, and moved on, and even forgot about it. But how we are born shapes and sculpts our inner psychology, sculpts our physiology, it sculpts our thoughts, it even sculpts our posture. And all of these different elements combined create Captain Planet. All of these culminate to create the very real experience of our life path. Not the metaphorical experience, not the mental experience, the very real experience of it from our body, our mind, and our spirit. We know how much our mind contributes to our quality of our life, our immune system, our physiology, and everything else that has to do with us. But our body has just as much of a feedback as our mind does. And so our body, at a very real anatomical posture, physical level, is giving that information to our mind as well as our spirit. So because of that, all components of our energy field give equal weight and give equal information to our energy field. So why our birth is so important, starting at the most physical level of it, has to do with how the birth process went for us. For instance, were we born in a sterile hospital setting under sterile lights? And if so, what were the specific conditions of our environment that we were born in? Was the mother comfortable? Was she in an anatomically correct position for that birth? How long was that birthing process? Were things inducing it to help support it? Or was it a C-section? The soul enters the womb through levels of matrices. The first matrix level is its intention, which allows it to enter a time-space. The second matrix level is the soul's own fields of information that interface with the lineage it's incarnating into. The third matrix level is the collective fields of information of whatever world we are being born into, which is why the more foreign your energy field is to a realm that it's being born into, the more possibilities that energy field opens up for that world. One of the most conscious things a society can do is understand how important the birthing process is and to make sure it's supported correctly. If you have had autoimmune issues or mystery illnesses this life, you will definitely want to look to see if there was any significant birth trauma when you were born, because that has within it the template that activates later on in life very mysterious appearing types of illnesses. But really it's because those points of attraction are just stemming back from a very stealth line that leads back to even pre-birth, even past life issues. But then they come into union at the point of when the soul comes into the body. And so when the soul comes into the body, or in this case, the fetus, once it is inside the mother's womb and forming, what's happening at that point forward is now it's like a sponge. It's taking in all of its environment and deciding if it is safe, if it is forsaken, if it is already feeling abandoned, or if it feels like it has enough resources, ever supplying of resources. It's taking in if it feels celebrated, or if it feels like it's not celebrated at all. It's taking in all of these different things within the matrix of the mother's womb. But dare I say that all of this process before the birth is the formulation of it is almost not as important or significant as to the actual birth itself. And here's why. Birth, no matter what, is considered trauma from a spiritual or an esoteric lens, because the birthing process is almost felt like a giant violent fragmentation process. And it's almost very beneficial that we don't remember just how traumatic or violent this fragmentation process is when we're going into the womb itself. And so that already leaves a tone for the soul inside the womb. Just being separate and now inside the womb of a mother who's now forming. That separation is seen as a very strong trauma or fragmentation. And because of that, you could say that there's a lot of heartbreak or grief. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's in a womb is just sad and in grief, but as a healer, I have noticed time and time and time again that there's this large feeling of feeling either forsaken or in a state of loss, which is grief, that is very correlated to the birthing process and specifically being in the womb. So the womb is like a timeless space or area because we are not located yet in this time space or in this incarnation yet. We're in between worlds. We're in many worlds when we're in the womb. And so in this space, it's already kind of perceived not in a way that our 3D mind can really even picture. We're nonverbal. We're very visceral. And so it's hard for us to really fully have a conscious awareness of this space. We're very dependent on the conditions within this space. But we're also not like new in the sense where we don't have memory. We already have memory from simultaneous or past lives. And so because of that, the soul is in this like abstract level of cosmic abandonment is what I would call it, because it's separate and it's inside a space now. And then it's what we could best call like a vague level of consciousness. And so it's very delicate and fragile in this state. And yet, if we were to have a very safe and very high quality birth experience, that would be able, dare I say, to rectify any abstract terror that was involved inside the actual process when we were in the womb and forming. That's how significant, dare I say, that the birthing process itself is. It's that it can heal. It can rewrite whatever formational or developmental issues we had. And so as a baby enters this new world, its brain is mainly in the delta brainwave state. This means the way that it conceptualizes time is the complete opposite of how we experience time. It is in like this almost like twilight zone eternity time. And because of that, if it's inside an environment where it's not getting necessarily the verbal understanding of what's being said, but it's picking up the intention behind those vibrations, which we call words. And it's sensing that, and then it's sensing the heartbeat of the mother, and then it's sensing like how conducive is the lighting? Is the lighting harsh and blinding and fluorescent? Or is it nice and warm and inviting and helpful to the baby's eyes? All of these different factors and far more. The sense, what it's smelling. Are these types of like very sterile type things that are already wiping out a baby's gut immunity? Or are the scents neutral and natural so that the baby can smell what the mom smells like with her pheromones and then connect with that and not have anything super like overpowering of that with strong scents being bombarded through that are synthetic? So all of this goes into the feedback and how the doctor picks up or captures the baby is so important, because when there's too much pressure put on specific areas, that will definitely determine a lot of the injuries or the postures or asymmetries that they're now having. And remember, a little bit of pressure to us is like a bowling ball weight of pressure to a baby that's just being born. So all of these different things and far more are going into the birthing process itself. the thing that is the first introduction into this reality that this baby will be experiencing. The most esoteric issue at birth is what me and other healers have seen when it comes to the souls that you would consider earth angels or star seeds, whatever your liking is. Celestial souls typically have a dilemma that comes through the birthing process. And it's before they even enter the fetus. So it's when their soul is emerging into the fetus. And what that is a crisis of conscience, I would call it. It's where whatever the soul contracts were for that soul to have inside this lifetime, they were made in a super high vibrational state. They were coming from ascended worlds. Ascended worlds are very heart-centered. They feel great. They'll sign up for just about anything. If you feel that great and you hear a mission or whatever have you, an assignment or a deep call, and you feel great, like imagine the best in this lifetime your somatic body has ever felt and triple that by 1,000. And that's the type of mind frame, shall we say, that you are making these soul contracts at. But once you start to leave wherever your dimension, wherever you were located in your consciousness, and you started to go into this lifetime in the womb, that's considered a drop. So even if we want to get semantics and technical and say it's not really a drop because there's no such thing as up or down or whatever, it's just considered a drop. You could even call it an emergence, whatever way you have it. That drop is for sure a drop in vibration. You're just dropping your vibration to be inside this experience. That's neutral. There's nothing bad about that. As you are dropping your vibration, as you are dropping your consciousness to go into what you had made a contract for, you start to leave the level of consciousness that you had made that contract in. When you leave it, it doesn't feel as good anymore. That's considered a strong separation. You start leaving heart-centered consciousness and going into deep levels of separation. Levels of separation and levels of worlds where you heard about whatever you wanted to help with, but once you're actually going through the vibrational drop into it, it does not feel good. And you're actually feeling the help. You're feeling the levels of reality here that made you want to come here in the first place. Whether that was for the thrill of it all, wow, I want to experience that radical, separate reality. Or whether it was for, wow, I can't believe that much suffering is happening. We have to help them. Whatever it may be, that drop does not feel good. And what's noticed by several different healers across many different modalities is that shows up inside birth trauma. It shows up as a deep level of fragmentation or even abandonment. And this level of abandonment comes across sometimes as a betrayal, but the person who created that soul, who created that contract, is simply in a form of betrayal with themselves. Now that could get projected onto betrayal of a god or abandonment from the light. All of these different forms we can look at it from, feeling like we were abandoned or even forsaken by a higher power or a higher light. And yet this was the soul's own sovereign decision at a certain point. And that whole feeling can feel very much like abandonment. This is separate from if a person feels like they have been incarnating here on a loop. That's not what I'm talking about right now. So a person can keep that reality if they want to use that as a paradigm. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about if a genuine earth angel, celestial being, angelic realm being chose to come to Earth on a mission and drop their vibration, and what that experience is like will lead them to have things that create certain allergies here. this is where we start hearing inside channel material about how, yeah, there's certain types of souls that pick up allergies, but those allergies aren't like, oh, I have the sniffles, or oh, I cough when I, smell beeswax. Instead, these are kind of like esoteric allergies to the physical realm, esoteric allergies to this type of experience here, this reality as it is. And it's because it's simply not native. It's not a native experience to be so separate and to have so much war inside the consciousness here, and to have so much inner conflict and so much hidden and obscurity instead of just, authentic transparency. All of these different components can make a being feel like they're almost here fighting a battle with their arm tied behind their back because they're at an unfair advantage. They're not at their home playing field. And so things that are considered hard could even just be something that's silly to someone else. But it's considered like an esoteric allergy if you're not used to being in such a physical realm with physical form and just one identity, and it's separate in a separate world. And so that extreme sense of feeling belonging, connection, and unity at one level of reality, and then being severed from that to come to this level of reality, feels like wanting to take back all of your contracts on the way trying to get back up. So it's like trying to climb back up a celestial tube. And all of that franticness can create a little weird package for being in the womb. And then that becomes an esoteric form of womb trauma. It's wanting to take back all those things that you said that you'd, help out with here. It's like trying to push an elevator button to be like, no, don't go down anymore. Don't go down. And it's just going down. And every level it drops feels worse and worse and worse. And you start feeling more and more separate. And all of that can manifest as really intense birth processes, like being in an incubator for a certain amount of days, or having a very weird problem while the birth process was happening, or an injury, or all these weird things, because they're a reflection of that metaphysical dilemma of wanting to get back up on the elevator. So the birth process is one that deeply needs to be understood and supported in order for us to create a better earth. Because so much of healing is simply because, in the first place, we didn't do the birthing process right. It was super disrespected or just done from a very, ignorant level, whatever have you. So if we want to have a healthy and conscious society moving forward, we are going to definitely have to pay attention to the birthing process itself. Because so much of what happens later on in life about becoming aware of allergies or chemicals or this form of healing that needs to be done, all of these different things could actually be solved if we're having more conscious birth processes. And many of the things moving forward into a more conscious new earth are going to be based off of this somatic awareness of the baby inside every stage of that birthing process, and mainly how it's received into the physical world. I hope this has rebirthed you. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for higher dimensional guidance through spiritual awakening. See you next time.